Flash Gordon, 1980, wasn't just another space opera. It was a $40 million gamble that nearly destroyed producer Dino De Laurentiis.
I had no control over it.
The original director was fired after 3 weeks of filming.
Why you chose me to make this film?
Star Sam J. Jones was dubbed over in post-production after walking off set, and the ending they released wasn't the ending they wanted. These are 16 facts about the most expensive camp masterpiece ever made. George Lucas tried to buy Flash Gordon rights before creating Star Wars. George Lucas approached King Features Syndicate in 1973, attempting to acquire Flash Gordon film rights. He wanted to make a serious, big-budget Flash Gordon adaptation. King Features wanted too much money and refused to give Lucas creative control. Lucas was devastated, but decided to create his own space fantasy instead. He began developing Star Wars as his alternative. By 1977, Star Wars had become a massive success. Producer Dino De Laurentiis finally secured Flash Gordon rights in 1978, paying King Features over $2 million. De Laurentiis wanted to compete with Star Wars' box office success. However, Lucas had already proven the concept with Flash Gordon's spiritual successor. De Laurentiis was essentially making an expensive imitation of what Flash Gordon had inspired. Nicholas Roeg was fired as director after 3 weeks of filming. Acclaimed director Nicholas Roeg was hired to direct Flash Gordon in February 1979. Roeg had directed Don't Look Now and The Man Who Fell to Earth. He began filming with a dark, serious approach, treating the material as psychological science fiction. After 3 weeks, Dino De Laurentiis watched the footage and was horrified. Roeg's version was slow, cerebral, and completely humorless. De Laurentiis wanted colorful, campy adventure. He fired Roeg immediately and shut down production. 3 weeks of footage was completely discarded. Mike Hodges replaced Roeg and restarted production from scratch. The firing cost over $3 million in wasted expenses. Roeg never publicly discussed his Flash Gordon experience. His serious version was completely abandoned for Hodges' intentionally campy approach. Sam J. Jones was dubbed over in 40% of the film after walking off. Sam J. Jones played Flash Gordon but left production before filming completed. Jones clashed constantly with Dino De Laurentiis over pay disputes and creative differences. He walked off set during the final weeks of production. De Laurentiis threatened legal action, but Jones refused to return. The film was mostly complete, but missing crucial dialogue recording sessions. De Laurentiis hired voice actor Peter Marinker to dub approximately 40% of Jones's dialogue. Careful viewers notice that Jones's voice changes noticeably throughout the film. Some scenes are obviously Jones's real voice. Others are clearly different. The dubbing was rushed and imperfect. Jones received no payment for the dubbing work since he'd abandoned his contract. The conflict destroyed Jones's relationship with De Laurentiis and damaged his career permanently. The $40 million budget made it the most expensive British film ever. Flash Gordon's budget was approximately $40 million, making it the most expensive film ever produced in Britain at that time. Dino De Laurentiis built Pinewood Studios sets costing over $8 million alone. The elaborate costumes, practical effects, and massive cast consumed unprecedented amounts of money. British film unions negotiated premium rates because of the production's scale. De Laurentiis financed the film himself through his production company, risking his personal fortune. The budget eventually ballooned beyond initial projections due to the director change and other production problems. When the film underperformed at the box office, grossing only $27 million domestically, De Laurentiis lost substantial money. The financial disaster nearly bankrupted his company. The massive budget couldn't be justified by returns. Queen's soundtrack, was written before they'd seen any footage. Queen began composing Flash Gordon's soundtrack in January 1980 without seeing any completed footage. Director Mike Hodges played them early storyboards and described scenes verbally. Brian May and Freddie Mercury composed music based entirely on these descriptions. They recorded the complete soundtrack months before filming finished. When Hodges finally integrated the music with finished footage, some cues didn't match the scenes they were meant to accompany. The mismatch required last-minute editing adjustments. Some scenes were cut shorter or longer to fit Queen's pre-recorded music. Despite the backward process, the soundtrack became iconic and more successful than the film itself. The album sold millions and remains Queen's best-selling soundtrack work. The music elevated the film beyond its campy visuals and became its most enduring legacy. Ornella Muti was pregnant. Throughout filming, and her costumes hid the bump. Italian actress Ornella Muti played Princess Aura and was approximately 4 months pregnant when filming began. She'd signed her contract before discovering the pregnancy. Dino De Laurentiis considered recasting, but production schedules made it impossible. Costume designer Danilo Donati created elaborate outfits specifically designed to hide Muti's growing pregnancy. The flowing robes and strategic camera angles concealed her condition. Muti experienced severe morning sickness throughout filming. She required frequent breaks and shorter shooting days. Other cast members didn't know about the pregnancy initially. Muti kept it secret, fearing she'd be fired. By the film's end, concealing her condition became increasingly difficult. Careful viewers can notice the costume changes becoming progressively more concealing. Muti gave birth 2 months after production wrapped. Max von Sydow accepted the role as Ming because he needed money for taxes. Max von Sydow, one of cinema's most respected actors, played the villain Ming the Merciless. He accepted the role purely for financial reasons. Von Sydow owed substantial back taxes to Swedish authorities. He needed quick cash, and Flash Gordon offered a large paycheck. Von Sydow later admitted he found the material ridiculous and beneath me. He performed Ming with theatrical camp because he couldn't take the character seriously. His over-the-top performance accidentally became perfect for the film's tone. Von Sydow brought unexpected gravitas to absurd dialogue. Critics praised his commitment to the campy material. Von Sydow never understood why people loved his performance. Timothy Dalton's costume was so tight he required assistance. Using the bathroom, Timothy Dalton played Prince Baron wearing impossibly tight leather costumes. The outfit was so restrictive that Dalton couldn't sit down or use bathroom facilities without assistance. Wardrobe staff had to help him partially undress for bathroom breaks throughout filming. Dalton found the situation humiliating and complained repeatedly. Costume designer Danilo Donati refused to alter the design, insisting the tight fit was essential to the character's aesthetic. Dalton spent 12-hour shooting days in painful discomfort. He couldn't eat full meals because the costume compressed his stomach. By the end of production, Dalton had lost 15 pounds. If you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes secrets about classic science fiction disasters, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive. We've got more shocking production catastrophes coming soon. Now back to Mongo's magnificent madness. The Hawkmen flying sequences hospitalized 2 stunt performers. The Hawkmen attack sequences required elaborate wirework with performers suspended high above the soundstage. The wing rigs weighed over 40 pounds and were difficult to control. 2 stunt performers were seriously injured during Hawkman flying scenes. One stuntman's cable snapped, dropping him 20 feet onto the stage floor. He suffered multiple broken bones and never worked again. Another performer's wing rig malfunctioned, causing him to crash into a set piece. He sustained severe lacerations requiring emergency surgery. Production was shut down for 3 days after the second accident. Safety inspectors examined all rigging equipment and demanded modifications. The Hawkman sequences were scaled back significantly from original plans. Peter Wyngarde's character, Prince Voltan, was supposed to die. Mid-film, Brian Blessed played Prince Voltan, leader of the Hawkmen, as a supporting character originally meant to die during the wedding attack sequence. Test audiences loved Blessed's boisterous performance so much that Mike Hodges ordered additional scenes written and filmed. Blessed was called back months after his scenes wrapped to film new material. The character's survival and expanded role required script rewrites and continuity fixes. Some scenes were re-edited to remove references to Voltan's planned death. Blessed's iconic "Gordon's alive" line became the film's most quoted moment. His larger role improved the final product substantially. Melody Anderson performed her own stunts and suffered multiple injuries. Melody Anderson played Dale Arden and insisted on performing her own stunts despite having no training. She wanted to prove herself as a serious action performer. Anderson suffered numerous injuries throughout production, including a sprained ankle, bruised ribs, and multiple cuts requiring stitches. During one sequence, she was accidentally struck in the face by a prop weapon and required medical attention. Anderson refused to use a stunt double even after injuries. Director Mike Hodges admired her determination, but worried about her safety. The production insurance company threatened to require stunt doubles after Anderson's third injury. She negotiated to continue with some restrictions. Anderson's commitment earned crew respect, but nearly ended her career before it began. She later admitted the stubbornness was youthful foolishness. The film was banned in several countries for sexual content flash. Gordon was banned or heavily censored in multiple countries for sexual content deemed inappropriate. Several scenes featuring Ornella Moody and other female characters in revealing costumes were considered too provocative. The implied sexual relationship between Ming and Dale caused particular problems. Religious conservative governments in Middle Eastern countries banned the film entirely. Spain's censors required cuts to Dale's costume scenes before allowing theatrical release. Some Asian markets refused distribution, citing moral concerns. The whipping and torture scenes, combined with sexual imagery, created uncomfortable tone. Dino De Laurentiis was surprised by the censorship since he considered the film family-friendly adventure. Topol was hired as Dr. Zarkov. Only 3 days before filming his first scene, Topol, famous for Fiddler on the Roof, was cast as Dr. Zarkov at the last minute. The original actor quit 3 days before Zarkov's first scheduled scene. Mike Hodges desperately needed a replacement immediately. Topol happened to be in London visiting friends when his agent called with the emergency offer. He accepted without reading the script because he needed work. Topol arrived on set the next morning having memorized his lines overnight. He had no costume fittings or rehearsals. Wardrobe assembled his outfit from existing pieces. The movie's camp tone was accidental, result of budget cuts and production problems. Flash Gordon's campy tone wasn't entirely intentional. Production problems forced creative compromises that accidentally created the camp aesthetic. Budget cuts eliminated planned elaborate special effects sequences. Director Mike Hodges compensated by emphasizing colorful production design and theatrical performances. The cheap-looking effects became charming rather than disappointing because actors played scenes with such commitment. Sam J. Jones's earnest performance contrasted perfectly with Max von Sydow's theatrical villainy. The tonal inconsistencies created unintentional humor. Hodges realized during editing that leaning into the camp made the film work better than trying to hide production limitations. De Laurentiis planned a sequel that was canceled after box office disappointment. Dino De Laurentiis commissioned a Flash Gordon sequel script before the first film even premiered. Writer Lorenzo Semple Jr. completed a screenplay titled Flash Gordon Meets the Cosmic Cheerleaders, featuring Flash battling new villains across multiple planets. Sets were designed and preliminary casting began. Then, Flash Gordon opened in December 1980 to disappointing box office. The film grossed only $27 million domestically against its $40 million budget. De Laurentiis immediately canceled all sequel plans. The completed script was shelved. Sets under construction were dismantled. Actors who'd signed sequel contracts were released. The financial loss made any continuation impossible. Alternate ending. Mike Hodges filmed an alternate ending that provided less ambiguity about Ming's survival. In the deleted version, after Ming apparently dies and his ring is retrieved by an unseen hand, the camera reveals that it's actually one of Ming's loyal guards. The guard takes the ring to a hidden chamber showing Ming's cloning facility with dozens of Ming duplicates in suspended animation. The ending revealed that Ming had prepared for his death by creating backup copies of himself. The scene was meant to set up the sequel. When the sequel was canceled, the ending seemed pointless. Flash Gordon could have been the serious space epic George Lucas wanted to make before Star Wars. Instead, Dino De Laurentiis created an accidental camp masterpiece through firings, walkouts, dubbing, and financial disaster. The sequel was canceled. The original director was fired, and Sam Jones got replaced by another voice. Some heroes succeed despite catastrophic production chaos.